What is causing tree mortality? In one word, I would say dehydration, the classical desiccation, and the associated hydraulic failure, because we have pretty good evidence nowadays that hydraulic safety margins capture the key mechanisms that determine tree death.
So first we have to remember that most of the mortality events happen at the seedling and sapling phase. So one key stress that affects tree survival is shading.
Tree survival is limited by drought, extreme temperatures associated with heat waves and freezing stress.
Then there is frost.
Often it also matters at which time during the year a stress factor is occurring. For example, cold temperatures occurring as frost when the leaves are shooting is more harmful than very cold temperatures in winter.
Mechanical stress
and a windstorm can cause physical damage.
Salinity,
rooting death,
pests and pathogens.
A fire maybe.
And finally also by the direct action of human beings, including logging or the destruction of habitats.
Well, we don't know. I would say maybe, but we don't really know. And we don't even know whether at a global scale mortality is increasing or not, despite having satellite technology available.
But we can make some predictions about how plants might react to different scenarios of climate change.
And that's because we know that climate is changing in a directional way towards warmer temperatures pretty much everywhere on Earth. And that means first that the conditions will be more suitable for pests, and second also that drought conditions will increase in most areas, and that's likely to induce tree mortality as well.
Near zero temperatures increase the frequency of freezing thawing cycles, causing increasing stress. Also changes in snow cover affects tree survival through mechanical stress. We can learn from dying trees how to recognize a dying tree.
Studying a dying tree is one way to see how a tree responds to extreme situations. We can learn what gets limiting when a tree dies and understand the ultimate reason of tree mortality.
We can learn what is the primary cause of death in different circumstances. Physiological and physical boundary conditions to tree function can also be learned.
Studying annual tree ring development in combination with the conditions of a dying tree, as we have done in this COSTAction, can tell us a lot about the combinations of conditions which are responsible for the decline and death of a tree.
So first we can better understand tree physiology and tree functions under stress conditions. So for instance, the carbon allocation rules to growth or defenses under drought. Then also the interactions among individual trees and pathogens. And finally, we can also increase our ability to predict death in dynamic vegetation models.
And limits of trees, which further increases knowledge about how trees respond and recover from stresses.
And ultimately what we really aim to understand is why in a given place under a given extreme event some trees will die, whereas other trees will survive.
Dealing with tree mortality and survival is particularly relevant given that significant decreases in the size of the forest could lead to major changes not only in the carbon cycle but also in global atmospheric circulation.
This information is important because it can be used in models to predict where and when episodes of tree mortality are likely to occur and what the ecological consequences might be, for example, in terms of the ecosystem services we obtain from forests.
Then in an evolutionary point of view, it also matters because tree mortality is a key process of a natural selection of genotypes that are best adapted to their environment. And so high mortality rates may promote the evolutionary adaptation of a species or a population to the new conditions.
Because trees are important for the biodiversity and important for the society and important for the earth.
Well, we should care about tree mortality because all life on this planet depends on plants, depends on trees. And we need more and better biologists, botanists, young good students who study biology and botany to understand that plants have shaped up the planet as it is nowadays, as we have it. And if we would like to survive on this planet, well, we need our plants.
I don't think we scientists can do a lot directly to help trees survive, but we can do a lot by explaining where, when and why trees are dying to stakeholders, to policymakers and also to the society at large.
The better understanding of tree responses to stress factors can help to improve forest management, which is the basis for securing the many goods and services provided by them.
According to our findings, we can adapt the way we manage our forests. For example, rotation cycles, species mixtures, management interventions, salvage logging operations and intensity, so that we can increase forest stability and sustainability of forest resources.
So obviously watering tree is not feasible, but we have other options. So as scientists we can develop tools and indicators that can be used by the forest manager to predict which individual and which population are more prone to die. And then based on them they can develop new management strategies to reduce this likelihood of death, and for instance by reducing stand density.
We, as scientists, can gain information to select tree species, origins and phenotypes for future climate.
One solution to reduce forest decay could be to restore or manage forests or woodlands, selecting those genotypes that can survive extreme events. However, does a perfect genotype able to survive any kind of stressor exist? The answer is probably not. So perhaps it would be better to maintain enough genetic diversity within and between populations to assure the survival of enough individuals within the forest.
From my own research interest, I would say that one option could be to monitor and display in real time the tree stream or health condition, and not only in natural forests but also in cities, in university areas, in schoolyards and parks, to teach youngsters and to create public awareness about the effects of weather conditions on trees and forests in this era of global change.
And it's important to keep increasing people and stakeholders' awareness for climate change, for its impacts, and for the need to reduce emissions, reduce greenhouse gases emissions, and to reduce climate change.
I guess we can do a probably better job in setting up international, larger research networks of experts and working in the field of tree mortality. But we also need to do a better job in talking to policymakers, politicians and forest managers to make sure that we bring over the right messages to them. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Our COSTAction STReESS deals with the response of trees and forests to extreme events. And I think mortality is one of the most important responses or drastic responses that you can encounter. In our action, we consider extreme events like droughts, heat waves or flooding, and that can strongly affect the tree physiology and the tree growth. But they are often not fatal in first instance if they only strike once. Many trees are able to recover from those events, but these events also leave traces permanent imprints in the wood matrix that can affect tree growth and fertility for many, many years. The ability to recover defines the plasticity of a tree species under given environmental conditions. Mortality indicates the threshold, and it is very difficult to define the mechanisms behind mortality. I'm convinced that following this direction of research will eventually allow for recommendations about suitable species and provenance selection for the forest practice.